In this video, I would like to demonstrate the process that I've been using to create 360-degree aerial panoramas with my DJI Phantom and Inspire 1. For those of you that have been following along, I developed an app called DronePan that makes it easy and automates the process of capturing photos. DronePan is completely free and available in the App Store. I'll post the link below. And what I'd like to do in this video is these are 19 photos from Costa Rica. A good friend of mine took them using DronePan with his Phantom 3. I want to demonstrate how to take these photos and create the panorama that you saw earlier. So we'll bring them into AutoPano Pro, and after that we'll take them into Panotour to make them available for the web. And before we get started, let me just mention that this is by no means free. If you guys have a good free or cheap alternative to this approach, then please put it in the comments below. But these tools are very good, especially if you're using this for commercial purposes. What I did several months ago was purchase this AutoPano Pro and Panotour bundle. So you can see that it's about 189 euros, which is a little over 200 US dollars. Now there are free trials available if you'd like to give that a go first before you make the purchase. I've fired up AutoPano Pro. I'm running this on my Mac, and they make it super simple to do this. So these are the 19 photos from Costa Rica that were shot in an automated manner with DronePan. We'll go ahead and open those up, and you can see the thumbnails here. All we're going to do is click the detect button, and it will begin with key point matching. Here on the right you can see our output, and generally if there are any gaps or duplicates, because DronePan does sometimes accidentally take duplicates, you'll see gaps in the photo, but everything looks good here. So what I normally do next is I'll go ahead and click edit, and in edit mode you can do many different things. You can rearrange some of your photos and mess with overlap. But what I want to do here is demonstrate how you crop. There are two ways that we can crop. So initially we'll do a basic tour with no sky or limited sky. You can see right here that we can set our cropping area. Then after that I will increase the height to a full 180 degrees, and we'll include a sky overlay. You'll want to drag this crop tool to just about where the sky ends, so you don't see any sort of gaps or black space when we create our panorama. Then over here we want to make sure that we go all the way to a -90 so that we can look straight down. And when we're done with our crop tool, we'll go ahead and click check to apply those changes. You can see that now this is the window that we will be exporting. I'll go ahead and go up to the gear icon. We'll leave the default settings here, and then we will click render. Our rendering is complete. Now keep in mind that can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes based on what type of hardware you're running. So let's go ahead and take a look at that image. So here is the rendered image. You can see that it's quite a large file, 16,000 by 5,000 pixels roughly. You can zoom in and get pretty good resolution as we zoom all the way in. So the stitching so far looks good. What we'll go ahead and do now is I'm launching Panotour. We will add the image. You can see that it's loading here. Now once again, Panotour has a ton of features, so we're not really going to get into all of those, but what I do want to demonstrate is setting your default view. Over here in the little preview window, you can pan to where you want to be. In this icon right here, you can say it says set default view. We'll click that, and then what we'll do next is for styling, we want to add just the basic controls to the panorama that will allow us to zoom in and out, start and stop the auto rotation. So we'll go ahead and leave all of those defaults. And then finally what we want to do is we just want to specify the name of the file. This is the HTML file that we'll be creating. So I'll just put cropped, since this is the cropped version we're doing. we'll click build, and what that will do is create all the different tiles, JavaScript, and HTML necessary to run the 360 panorama in your web browser. Our export is complete. We'll go and you can see the cropped HTML file that was created in Panotour. I'll go ahead and double click that. And now you can see the default view that we set and our full panorama. Now, once again, our crop doesn't allow us to get much of the sky. So what I want to do next is show how you can export a full crop and blend the sky in. I will go back to AutoPano Pro where we did this crop earlier, and what we're going to do this time is we're going to raise this up as far as it'll go, and that's okay if it goes past the top there. We'll just click this check mark and you can see that we got everything within that yellow border. Have our minus 180 to plus 180, minus 90 to plus 90. We'll go back to our render screen and we'll go ahead and render this version. Our renderer tells us that this photo has been stitched and exported. Let's take a look at it. I went ahead and just overwrote our previous version. You'll notice that black area there. That's okay. That's where we're going to blend our fake sky in. What we'll do next is we'll take this photo and open it up in Gimp. We have our stitch panorama open in Gimp, and what we'll do now is we'll add the sky. Now this is a tip I learned from one of our users in the DronePan community. He was so generous to share some of these, I call them fake skies. They are real skies that have been taken and formatted for panoramas. So in this case, I'll pick this 05.jpg because it looks somewhat similar to the sky in our panorama. We'll go ahead and open that up. And here is our sky. Now what I'm going to demonstrate, there are two ways that you can do this. You could go in here with the selection tool and kind of crop out everything between the landscape and the horizon. You can zoom in. That takes a lot more work. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to overlay the sky here and sort of blend the two together. Now we see that this is 16,076 pixels wide. So what we'll do with our sky is we'll go ahead and scale that up to match that width exactly. Now let's go ahead and bring the sky over into our panorama. So I'll go ahead and copy, move back over to our panorama, and we will paste that in. Our sky layer is pasted in. I've zoomed in a little bit just because it makes the rendering a lot faster. And what I'm going to do now, you can see our layer here. I'm going to use the move tool. I'll select it and I'll just use my cursor and we'll go ahead and move it all the way up into place. You can see that our sky has now been positioned. What I like to do next is I'll zoom in a little bit and I'm going to turn the sky layer off. What we'll do is use a guide to sort of find out where this black begins because we don't want to blend too far, otherwise the black will show up. So I'll drag this little guide down and that will stay permanent, and that will be used so that when we create the blend we don't go beyond that. Our guide is in place. I'll go ahead and zoom all the way out so we can see that whole sky overlaid on our panorama. What we'll do next is we want to make that sky a layer mask. So we'll select that. We'll leave the default white, full opacity. And what we then will do is we're going to use this blend tool, and we want to make sure that we have the foreground to transparent option selected. What I'll do is I'll zoom in at about 25%. You can see our sky here. We have that layer selected. This is the guide that we added. I'll go ahead and click from the edge, the bottom edge of our sky, up to a little bit below that guide. And then what will happen next is that blend tool will kick into play. You can see that that blend is complete. I'll go ahead and zoom out. So let's go ahead and just remove our guide. I'll select the full panorama so we can get a nice view. Now you can tweak this all day long, colorize the photo, work with your blend, all that. This is just really a basic demonstration of doing a blend and getting a nice looking sky in there. So we'll go ahead and leave that alone for now, export it and bring it into Panotour. One thing that I want to mention is if you're using Gimp, the great thing is there's a lot of metadata in this imagery that gets picked up by Panotour, and you don't want to mess with that. Gimp preserves the metadata that is attached to the JPEG. I don't know about Photoshop or other tools, so just make sure that that gets preserved, and probably the best thing you want to do is save a copy so you don't overwrite the original version. Once again, we're in Panotour with our new image and sky included. We'll go ahead and find a nice default location. I'll just set it there. We'll go back to our style. You can see that our control bar is still there from our previous version, and I'll just call this sky. And now we are building the new version. Here is the results of our stitch panorama with the sky added. We can look all the way up, all the way down, and then pan around 360 degrees compared to the version we did previously, which was less work, but you don't have the sky effect in there. So it's really up to you if you want to go to that extra effort to add the sky. Obviously, it depends on your application. I think it's a nice touch to add it in, especially if you're doing stuff for real estate and marketing purposes. So I just wanted to take that bit of time to show the process that I've been using when getting imagery from DronePan. There are obviously other ways to do this. This is kind of the workflow that I've come up with using the color tools. If you're doing any sort of drone panoramas, please share those as well. We'd love to see them. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. And until next time, thanks for watching.